And we're back. And by the way, if you guys, yay! If you guys can actually give it up for my brother, he did a great job. Sean, good work. Thank you for buying time for us. Oh, thank you, Sean. But we appreciate that, Sean, so thank you so much. Artosis, talk to me.
All right, so basically there was a bug in the map, and it's going to be rehosted. You know, it's not sure exactly which bug it was, but we're just going to go ahead and rehost that map, the right version. So we're going to get into that in just a second here. It's going to be Cloud Kingdom again, starting over. And the interesting thing when something like this happens is, do you use the same build? Will your opponent use the same build? Do you mix it up? Like, it's a huge mind game. And in fact, if you're really going to prepare for a tournament just right, you should have some backups for scenarios
especially for
like
a tournament like this one where you're basically on a marathon. You're playing game after game after game after game. Possibly the same matchup. You could even face the same opponent again. So I think they should be okay. We'll see, though. You know, there's always a little bit of a mind game going on in situations like this. I don't know. We could see an all-in. Sometimes, you know, we see the exact same game, like almost, you know, to key all the way up to the maxing out. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I would say most likely we'll see the same thing out of these guys.
I don't think we're going to see a cheese. If I was a betting man.
I mean, that's a harsh thing to switch to because, you know, Inori, he was definitely behind. But as far as PuMa goes, and I feel like he's more likely the person who would change into a cheese.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like he's maybe a little bit more flexible in that way. He has to look at that and say, well, I was crushing. I was playing so well on this map. My build was really strong. And he would be right. It was a great build. He did very well on the map. So if someone's going to switch, I think it should be Inori. But Inori's showing kind of the same style over and over.
A frustrating moment for PuMa because he was in a very good position. The game wasn't over, but he was in a good position. But, you know, in StarCraft 2, games can seesaw back and forth. So it doesn't mean Inori couldn't have come back. Now the countdown has started, so we're going to get this game going on Cloud Kingdom. Game number 2 here between PuMa and Inori. PuMa, I wonder if he has a plan right now, if it's going to be improvised. No way to tell until we get this game going. Meanwhile, Inori, you know, he's got to kind of alter his style here because PuMa was so dominant in that game. And we're going to throw this up on screen and introduce these players. Doing very well that game and having to play it again. Make some noise for PuMa. And in the upper right, getting a second chance. Luck's on his side today. Give it up for Inori.
You know, if the game starts to open up in the same way, I would love to see from Inori more greed. He wasn't quite greedy enough at the beginning of the game because PuMa was being just as greedy as you can get, a triple command center, you know, getting his upgrades going very quickly with double engineering bay, whereas Inori very slow on his forges, only starting with 1 in fact, and then, you know, going into a lot of warp gate units, which is, I mean, when your opponent has a very similar or better economy and your opponent has better upgrades, really you're going to want Colossus over gateway units. Gateway units are more, you know, when you're even or ahead.
You know, the one thing I could see Inori doing that would end the game quickly is like a 3-gate timing. Because PuMa's proven that he is very likely to do a quick command center nowadays.
That is true. Well, you know, that is the most safe, solid, standard build that there is. If you go for that really quick command center, it gets your economy flowing. Whereas all the cheesy one-base builds require some element of luck now. It's not like it used to be with the 1-1-1 builds that it became so popular with, where you could just do it and most of the time you were going to win. Nowadays, Protosses know them inside out and exactly how to stop them.
All right, we should be seeing an orbital here pretty soon. And there it is now. And Cybernetics, of course. So really, with both these guys, we can't glean a lot. We obviously know that the Terran's going to make a command center here. Sometimes he makes it in the main, right? Usually right around here, so SCVs can rally quickly to the minerals. But you know, it's other than that, there's not much else that we can really say here. We have to wait for the Cybernetics core to finish before the Protoss can really show us what the tech tree is going to be.
Yeah. Well, he is starting that Zealot, as he always seems to do. I'm sure a Stalker will come next, because, well, you just kind of need a Stalker out Tasteless. It can out-micro all the Terran units. But will it be a Sentry or a Stalker after that? Will he go for some sort of crazy build? I don't know. We'll see. But his Chrono Boosts are lining up into an expansion, not using any on his Warp Gate yet.
All right, so we should be seeing, as Artosa said, a Nexus here. Meanwhile, the SCV avoiding the Zealot. It's always good to have one worker hidden on the map. I didn't catch what happened to that probe on the map. It might have actually been killed. Yeah, you can see one kill here on this Marine, so we can assume that's the probe that was gunned down. But yeah, you always want to have one worker moving around the map because you want to check for hidden expands. You want to be able to sneak into their base. For instance, the Stalker will be parked out in this location right here to make sure no SCVs can get out. If you can use this SCV later on to go into the main and see what's going on, that's one less scan.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Inori is moving up, but this bunker is really quick this game from PuMa, so he's not going to be able to get any actual damage done. In fact, that Stalker will stay just where you said it would, Tasteless.
And you know what's funny? This game looks a lot like game number 1, with the exception that no damage has been dealt to PuMa's entrance.
That's right, but PuMa's mixing up a little bit now. He went for a quick triple command last game. This game, much quicker gas, and already has a tech lab going up on one of his barracks. So probably going to be for a quick stim. We'll see in a moment here, but a little bit different now.
Can he get into the main? And it looks like, yes, he will. So now let's see what he can scout.
Well, not too much there.
Not too much here.
Yeah, I mean, 3 gates and 2 gas. It's pretty much what you expect right now. There could just be a robo and the gates added on afterwards, but that's not as common or as popular as it used to be.
He's probably going to assume that the robo is going to be coming next. And here that is now. It'll be warped in here by the probe. Meanwhile, the Nexus finishes. And we are back into a very standard TVP.
Yeah, and well, one thing I do want to point out is that PuMa is doing a build much more like game number 1. You know, he's getting that really quick engineering bay. He's getting the very quick medevacs out. So we'll see a lot more pressure from him early on. Now, if Inori were to go for the same build that we saw last game, then he's going to be in trouble. 3 gates and a robo against quick +1 stim. And, I mean, you're going to kill one of those Nexuses. You're going to kill a lot of probes. So PuMa's actually doing a build that looks similar, but counters exactly what Inori did last game. Will Inori do the same build again?
Only time will tell, Artosis. Looks like this, the 4th gas here is finished. Now, here's an important moment for the Protoss. When the Observer pops out, not only is the Observer important because right now the Protoss does not know what in the hell is going on in the Terran's base. He has no idea, although we do. If he loses that Observer, he's in a tough spot. And this Observer right here, he either has to remake the Observer, which means less Immortals, or later Immortals, I suppose I should say, later Colossi, or if he loses this Observer, he is just going to have to keep making Colossi and Immortals and be in the dark. Neither is good.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Inori is probably going to go for Blink this game. He is harassing those Marines a little bit right now. There you go. The Blink starts. So these guys are actually porting their builds from game number 1 into game number 2 after their game number 2 builds were shown to each other. It's so interesting to see it like this, Tasteless, to see that they both decided to switch their builds up, knowing that they both had weak points and each other had weak points, and that their previous builds, a little bit more safe for game number 1, would do better here.
Now, what do you think is going to happen with these 2 builds, though? Because, is he going to see it? Will this be spotted? He's right in the line of the Marines.
Looks like
no, he's safe.
Well, you know, these builds should interact just like they did in game number 1, where PuMa's going up, he's trying to do some sort of pressure, some sort of harassment, but can't really get anything done because, well, Inori has Blink on 2 bases, and he's not moving out. So when you're sitting there with Blink on 2 bases, you don't have a lot of area you have to cover, and you can cover it really quickly.
All right. Meanwhile, the Zealot out here, he's just checking to see, is there a 3rd base here? Because, you know, it's hard for the Protoss right now. In fact, let me check. Oh, never mind. Engagement coming up here. Stimming. And will he cancel? He does. Keeping the probe alive.
Does kill the pylon off, but
he may actually go into the main here.
Yeah, he might, but with those Blink Stalkers, it could be a bit dangerous for him. Looks like he's turning around. I don't think he even knows there's Blink so far, so Well, in fact, Blink is just about to finish, so I guess there's not much likelihood that he does now.
Not the best scouting over here. He has not checked the barracks or anything else. Looking for an additional start. Right in a second cancel here. Now going for the sentries. Beautiful. Picking up, but blinking underneath him. This could be more of a trade instead of a victory.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to target down as much as he can here. The Colossus really helping out against these Marines. Blinking forward, trying to kill off that medevac. Doesn't quite get the one that was full of Marines. A little bit of tough luck there for Inori, but that Colossus coming out just in time to help him turn what could have been a terrible defeat into something okay.
Thought he was going to go after those medevacs a little bit more. Now we have the Zealot here to occupy this location so the orbital can't land. Meanwhile, well, as I say that, it's chased out. But Inori could try to occupy this location. Nice snipe.
And there we go. He's going to blink out of there. A nice little snipe indeed, Tasteless. And right now, the game is at a pretty even spot. Both players are going to have their third bases up at similar times. Both of them have their upgrades going. They're tech in good spots. A lot closer than it was last game at this point.
Now, what do you think about the Warp Prism coming in here? You know, he's only made one Colossi. Is he perhaps trying to make the Terran over-make Vikings? But then again, I guess if you make a bunch of Vikings, the Warp Prism isn't really that good as well. You can shoot that down, so you can't use that for support, only for harass.
Well, you know, I think he is going to do harassment with this, like a double prong type harassment, because he has mostly Blink Stalkers with Colossi, and then the Warp Prism. So maybe, you know, go into the main base through the back, warp in some Zealots, try to draw their army up there, and then harass another area with those Blink Stalkers and Colossi. I mean, I think that's the only thing I can think of to get a Warp Prism at this timing on this map.
Yeah, CDs have been transferred now. Same over here for Inori. So the economies are staying balanced. Meanwhile, we have more Colossi being pumped out here. Let's go ahead and do an upgrade check here. Protoss just now at 1-1. Probably 2-1 in a minute or two from here. Meanwhile, 1-1 here for PuMa, and 2-2 going to complete pretty soon. So PuMa will have a slight upgrade lead. Yeah. Eventually, Inori will catch up due to Chrono Boost, but for the time being, with an even game like this, upgrades really matter.
Yeah, and certainly they do, Tasteless. The army that Inori is making just like Game 1 again. You know, he's got so many Stalkers and Colossi, whereas PuMa, once again, kind of looking like Game 1. Are these guys going to go into fourth bases again? Because I'm not sure how much damage they can actually do to each other.
Fortune is not on your side, Inori, and the Warp Prism goes down. Now the question is, will he make another Warp Prism? My bet is no. What do you think?
You know, I don't think he's going to make another one yet. There's really no point. PuMa has some great map awareness right now. I think you're right, Tasteless. No more Warp Prism for the time being.
All right, we got the Colossi, the Stalkers, the Sentries, and the Zealots positioning up here. He probably will wait again until he's maxed out. He may attempt to take a third base, or fourth base, rather.
Well, we'll see about that in a moment. He's getting that Templar Archives Archon time, Tasteless. We have a lot of gas banked up for Inori right now. Adding some Archons and Zealots into his army can be very powerful, but in fact getting a much quicker storm than he got last time he did this build. So looks like he wants to go into that ultimate unit composition rather than something a little bit quicker and more mobile.
And you know, when you get those good storms off, especially because, hold on a second, we don't even have any ghosts here for PuMa. And I don't see...
well, he's getting Mobius Reactor.
All right, so he is, oh, there we are. Yeah. So he is planning on doing that, but still, you know, not a lot of room for ghosts left. When the ghosts do pop out, and they haven't yet, I don't believe. No, they have not. They're not going to have a lot of energy. So Psy Storms are going to be a premium here.
That is so true, Tasteless. If you can Psy Storm the Vikings targeting down your Colossi, sometimes you can kill them off before your Colossi die. I mean, the options are huge. If you can keep those Colossi alive behind the rest of your army, the Terran army normally just falls apart. And look, he's buying time. He knows Psy Storm not quite done yet. I loved that force field wall.
All right, so we have 4 Templars here. Hold that thought. He's going to get some Vikings.
Ooh, nice snipe there by Inori. Playing a very tight defensive game. And PuMa, in the meantime, is taking a fourth base. But, you know, it's a little bit slow. He could have made that command center just a little bit quicker, but it looks like he thought that he could get damage done. Thing is, Inori is not going to let that occur. He's got, you know, enough observers out on the map. He's got enough Blink Stalkers, enough Colossi. It's going to be almost impossible to run up a ramp and break him.
All right, so here's the fourth base from PuMa. as mentioned, and now I almost feel like that window of time for Inori to do the damage he needed to do, it may have faded. The Ghosts are going to have enough energy to do some serious EMPs. And, yeah, I mean, this is going to be, I guess let me put it like this. This is all going to come down to how they control their armies. It could go either way. It's going to depend on where they meet on the map, and that's why we see these guys running around the map. Note, for instance, PuMa destroying the rocks to make sure there's more circulation so he can't be screwed by a force field. Now the fourth base goes down for Inori.
Well, PuMa at the same time taking his fourth and fifth and getting Cloak of really smart moves. But wait a minute, we might actually have an engagement here. Some nice EMPs going off. The Vikings coming up, killing a Colossus. There you go, they do get it, but a nice Ice Storm on those Vikings as well.
Doing a scan to check the damage he's done. PuMa may try to poke forward. Also note he can occupy this location on the high ground of the night. Workers from mining there as well. It's a tough call though. A lot of Ghosts here. Is he gonna get the EMPs off?
Some pretty decent EMPs, but the Ghosts, they're gonna go ahead and Cloak gonna EMP more from behind. And Nori just attacking forward. Does he have enough units to get through here? The Vikings have taken down absolutely every Colossus. He's gonna land the Vikings. Don't know how I feel about that one, Tasteless.
And he's closing in now. Archon's doing so much damage. Sauger's blinking behind him, taking out the medevacs. And I thought PuMa was going to take a lead, but now I got to say, Inori definitely has it.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's killed off that army of PuMa. And look at these supply differences, 140 to 106 right now. PuMa's going to have to back up to his planetary.
And on top of that, he took out the medevacs and the Vikings.
Oh,
so
man.
Right now, Terran is in a bit of a debacle here. But is Inori overextending? He needs to back up. He needs to regroup.
Well, it looks like he was starting to overextend just for a moment. You know, with the planetary there, this little army not really going to do all that much. So walking over to the high ground or something with your Saugers,
right here,
a much better choice. You know, kill off a few SCVs, that type of thing.
And that's exactly what he's going to do. Let me do a quick vision check here. He does not know about this other base, though.
Ooh, well, that's really good for PuMa. But PuMa's got to get his production going a bit more. I mean, yeah, sure, he's building 3 Vikings, 4 Marauders, 8 Marines at a time. But with double Robo and a ton of gates for Inoria as well as a higher supply, I feel like his army is going to return to maximum power quicker.
Meanwhile, on the upper left, he's going to take the high ground here, doing a lot of damage to these probes. And it looks like now this is going to pull Inori back and give PuMa a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, that was a nice move with those Marauders, picking up what he can. In fact, might get a High Templar. Very nicely done. And
that definitely paid for itself.
Yeah, I would say so. That was nice to pull him back. And, you know, now PuMa can mine from his 4th again. His 5th is going strong, as we see with a ton of mules there. And PuMa's economy is just really, really solid. At this point, he's making a ton of Ghosts as well.
All right, Inori moving out. And he may be going for the heart of the Terran space, which may be the best move of all right now, getting 2 Ghosts. And now PuMa is forced to engage, getting a 3rd Ghost. Meanwhile, the army over here trying to fight, but also note the Colossi not doing the damage where they need to do it.
Well, he is pushing forward. PuMa in some trouble. He has very few medevacs, just 1, and it does get stormed out of there. The Colossi just pushing forward. These 4 Colossi so powerful at the moment.
Oh my God, if he gets these SCVs here, and he absolutely will.
He will indeed, but did it buy enough time for these Marauders to move forward and kill off all the Colossi? He does get one.
Just too much splash damage there. And I think this may be the beginning. In fact, this is the very end here.
The end of the end.
GG. A beautifully played game there by Inori.
Yeah, Inori played just wonderfully. And PuMa going down 0-2. Not what we expected, Tasteless, but Inori, he's been getting better and better. He's been hitting a lot of foreigner events, and it feels like at each one he does a little bit better than the last.
Yeah, you know, he's such a solid player. You can really see, you know, sometimes we get these players who cheese, or these players who do, you know, a dangerous all-in, or, you know, they don't want to go to the late game. Inori is a guy, he wants to get every single unit that he can get, finish the tech tree, because he's confident that in that phase of the game, the most difficult phase of the game, that's where he's going to win.
That's right. Well, PuMa being consoled by his friends there, Race and MC. PuMa, you're not out yet. Don't worry too much. Hopefully he can still make it through one of my favorite Terrans, Tasteless, that's for sure.
Oh, he's a real treat to cast. He's a really good player. But, you know, that's what happens. We're at that phase now in StarCraft 2 where everybody's so good. It's no longer the moment like when we're in the beta where nobody really knows what the hell they're supposed to do. We've got so many good players down here.
We're watching these games be decided by one mistake or maybe two mistakes that really turn the tides and give it to their opponent. I mean, we saw 2 games on that map basically. The first one that we had to rehost, PuMa was doing a great job. He was definitely ahead, but then inori altered his build a little bit. So did PuMa to try to punish inori. And it turned out that inori's build was better in that matchup. He controlled it better. It seemed like he was just better with it overall.
And I think especially on the level of engagements, whenever there was a fight, for instance, even that last battle, we saw PuMa rush in there with those Marauders to try to get, the Colossi, but then he ends up engaging into a Colossus. an Archon, excuse me, and it's just too much splash damage. Really nice control there.
Indeed, it was. Well, I mean, that's pretty rough for PuMa to go down like that, but we'll see if he can fight back later. And inori doing a great job so far, though.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick little break. When we get back, we're going to have more StarCraft 2 action here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
All right, give it up for TSL inori. Oh, come on. Do you guys hear that crowd over there? Do you know what they're watching? I think you guys can do better than that. Give it up for one of the best Protoss players on planet Earth that you have the privilege of seeing right now, please. Thank you. And I'm going to keep bugging you about that because I heard Germans don't like to cheer. Is that true? Got to fix that, All right, man. That was really well played. Congratulations. You're relatively unknown in the foreign scene. This is your chance to earn a lot of fans. You've already shown some really great play. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to all these wonderful people?
What, do you want to say something?
What would you like to say to all the new fans you just got?
Hello. It is my first time tour in Europe, but 이렇게 독일에 처음 오는 건데 이렇게 많은 팬분들이 와줘서 고맙고 남은 2경기 있는데 꼭 이겨서 다음 라운드에 올라갈 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다.
Well, actually, it's his first time in Germany, and he will give his best to make it to the next round.
Best of luck, man. Keep fighting.